It's the weekend and you have financial questions that need answering. That can only mean one thing. It's time for Jill on Money, the show that takes the mystery out of your finances. Here's your host, Jill Schlesinger.
Welcome. It's the Jill on Money Show, and we are here trying to take the mystery out of your financial life. I'm your host, Jill Schlesinger, CBS News business analyst, also a certified financial planner. And it occurs to me that you're listening to this, and it is the weekend before the tax filing deadline of April 18th. And I guess I should just do a little quick reminder. If you're just waiting to the very last minute, a few things to keep in mind. Electronic filing is the safest, fastest, and easiest way to submit your returns. Please do check, double check, triple check all of your returns, because when you're under the crunch time, you make an error. It's usually a social security number, and maybe it's a balance due and signatures and all that stuff. If you are someone who's been impacted by storms or disasters, just know that you should be checking the IRS website. There are lots of victims all over the country, whether it is Arkansas or Mississippi or California, parts of New York. Just double check. You might have a lot more extra time to file. If you can't do it, then of course get the extension, Form 4868, but an extension does not give you time to pay. It gives you time to actually file. So you've got to pay what you think you owe. And by the way, if you can't actually pay, the IRS will allow you to do a few different things. A short-term payment plan gives you an extra 120 days. There are long-term installment plans. You could use a credit or a debit card, but it's usually very expensive. And if you really are not getting your act together, let me be clear. There is a failure to file penalty. It is 5% of the unpaid taxes for every single month or part of a month that your tax return is late. So there's even more incentive to get your act together. With that behind us, taxes are covered. I know you got it. Let's talk to one of you. This is Sophia, who's on the line from Georgia. Hi, Sophia. How are you?
Hi, I'm fine. And yourself?
We are doing great. What can we do for you today?
I was trying to get, I guess you can say, azimuth check on am I going in the right direction financially.
Okay. Tell us about yourself. How old are you?
I'm 50 as of last month.
Congratulations. Welcome to the FU 50s. This is the era with the decade where you really don't care what anyone thinks. Are you single, partnered, married? What's your situation?
Married.
What's going on? Like you're working, you're both working full time, you have kids. Give us a little bit of your background.
I have one daughter. She's 11. I am retired from the military, but back working for DOD as a government civilian.
Wow. Wait a second. So you have a pension and you're working full time?
Yes.
What's the pension amount?
Roughly right now about 60 a year.
Oh, that's nice. And then how much are you earning in your next profession?
118.
Okay, that's great. And does your spouse work?
He does.
How much does he make?
He makes roughly about 27 a year.
How much do you put away for your retirement out of your 118 and his 27?
So out of his 27, we put away 20% per paycheck. Out of my 118, I just bumped it up this year to 17%.
Wow, that's great. I mean, if you look at your total needs, how much do you figure you need to live on? Like, are you spending that pension that is coming in every year, or are you banking it right now?
Right now, it's probably like a combination spend/bank.
Okay. How much do you figure you bank out of that pension? So you're putting away 17% out of your salary, 20% out of his salary. What extra saving are you doing and give it a guess, on an annual basis?
Maybe about $8,000 for our money market account. We probably put about roughly 10.
So let's say 20 out of your 60 pension. So a third of it you're saving, right? Do you have an account for your 11-year-old daughter for like either education or anything else? Anything in her name?
Yes, she has I think it's a UMTA.
Yep, Utma.
And she also has a
529?
Not a 529. We were advised against doing the 529 since she's getting my GI Bill or my 9/11 bill.
Yep.
So she has like one is almost like a savings account, and it's roughly about 10,500 in that account. And then every month we put $250 into her another UMTA, but it's like a fidelity.
But the GI Bill would pay for her college, basically, right?
Yes.
Okay. And this is just for other expenses and stuff. So that's cool. That's great. So she's set. I mean, that's amazing. So how much money do you have in savings? I see that you're saving a lot, right? How much do you have? A savings account and a money market account. How much is in each?
Okay. So in the savings account is 28,400. In the money market account, there's 27,300 because we recently took money out of both to pay off a vehicle.
That's great. So you own the vehicle free and clear. You have 2 cars that you own free and clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. I love ma'am. What about in any other non-retirement accounts? Any like a brokerage account or a stock that you've fiddled around with? Anything like that?
I have a brokerage account with roughly about $11,000 in there. I have TSP, both civilian and uniform, because I did TSP when I was in the military. There's $170,163 in that one. Right now, my civilian TSP, which I contribute to monthly, has $96,962.
I'm calling it 97, damn it. I can. So this is the civilian. That's great. And what about your husband?
Well, I have one more. I have a Fidelity account. It's a 401 from when I did some time as a contractor before I transitioned over to government, and there's 17,000 in that one.
Beautiful. Okay. Your husband, what does he have?
Right now, the one that's attached to his employment, he has roughly about $15,000 in that, and he has from previous jobs roughly about 25,000 spread out across a couple of, one is like an annuity, another Fidelity account, 401 type account. And then for 11 years before he transitioned to a new job, he worked as a school teacher. So he has vested money in the school system towards a life return.
Got it. Okay. We'll get back to Sophia in just a minute. If you're feeling any anxiety about your financial picture, give us a holler. Go to JillOnMoney.com, click the Contact Us button. We'll be right back.
Back to Jill on Money, where Jill Schlesinger helps you take the mystery out of your finances.
You're back. It's Jill on Money, the program that is trying to help you make better financial decisions. And one of the ways that we do that is we populate our website with lots of great content. You can go to JillOnMoney.com. And there are a variety of things there. So there are podcasts. We have 2 other shows. One is called Jill on Money. The other is called Money Watch. We have a blog which does help you walk through either breaking news events and make sense of them, or really useful stuff like, again, if you're trying to file your taxes, what you need to be thinking about. We also have a free weekly newsletter, which you should definitely get it. I call it the Weekend Warm-Up. Mark finds all the great content that's created throughout the week, and then you'll get that email every single Friday. It's great. Also, while you are on the website, you may want to check out our brand new subscription service. It is called Jill on Money Live, and we just had our first quarterly live webinar with Ed Slott, the Roth IRA and IRA expert, and it was just so much fun to see all of you on that webinar. And we had hundreds of people. It was pretty amazing. People could ask their questions live. It was a very vibrant comment community. And so we are rolling out even more special content because when you subscribe to Jill on Money Live, not only do you have access to quarterly live webinars, but you're also going to get a little bit of the extra stuff, like the questions that are in the chat. Mark and I are going to answer them after the fact. We're going to bring you on live with us to have little chat sessions via video. Oh my God, it's so much fun. Anyway, check it out. Jill on Money Live. It costs $35 for the whole year. I don't think you're going to be disappointed. I really don't. All right, let's now get back to Sophia, who is on the line from Georgia. So what about your living where you are right now? Do you own your home or do you rent?
We own.
How much is it worth?
By Zillow standards, it's like it ranges between 260 and 280.
All right, let's call it 270 because I like a middle ground kind of thing. And do you guys have a mortgage?
We have a mortgage.
How much remains on the mortgage?
$100,000.
And is it a 30-year?
15.
What's the rate?
3.2.
So this is all good news. You're in great shape. What's the problem? You know you're in great shape, don't you? I mean, you
No,
really are.
I feel like I'm not sure.
Come on. You are in great shape. I mean, first of all, you've done something that's amazing, which is, number one, you served your country and you're getting paid for that. So you stayed safe. God, thank you, right? And then you are actually able to collect this pension, which is wonderful. Your daughter, like I'm literally putting a check mark next to your daughter, like taken care of. I wouldn't even put any more money in that UTMA account. Truly. I'm not sure why you would. I mean, are you just thinking that expenses are going to be a lot for her in addition to tuition and books?
I guess we just want to make sure that any possibilities are covered.
She's fine. Calm down. Come on. You got a bunch of money in savings. The $250. So I will say this. Do you guys track how much money you actually spend?
We don't do a real good job at that. Sometimes we do because we have like a spreadsheet and then we fall off the spreadsheet.
Yeah, I know. It's so hard. It's like dieting. It says, it sort of doesn't work. I just want to get a sense of it. And you're putting money into your retirement, which is great. I think that what has to happen is you have to be really disciplined about the pension, right? The 60, let's say that of the 60, is there a state income tax in Georgia?
There is.
All right. So of the 60, let's say, so, it's weird because you guys are sort of in a high-ish tax bracket because you have all that income from the military, right? So you're probably in the 24% tax bracket. I presume that you are not putting in your civilian TSP. That's a pre-tax. It's not you're not using the Roth option, are you?
I am using the Roth option.
Oh, you are? Good girl. I was the only thing I was going to say.
Oh, I'm sorry. I had to think about that. Wrong one. That was previously. No, this one is it's not the Roth. I'm sorry.
I think I would move to a Roth for you. I'll tell you why. I know you're going to hate me for this because you have a lot of income. Your income is just not going to go down all that much, I don't think. And you've got a bunch of money that's already in pre-tax. Maybe split it, maybe some Roth, some pre-tax. It's not like 100% you have to do it. You're in very good shape. I just think that you're putting 18, 20 grand a year away out of the pension, which I presume is about half of your post-tax, right? And maybe as your daughter gets older, you won't need to put so much money away. But I kind of would love it do you think you're the kind of person who's going to work for like 10 years, 15 years? Like, what do you think's going to happen?
I would like to, in the next, by 62, she will have made her way through high school, college. So maybe about 62, kind of like pull back.
Okay.
If possible.
All right. I think that's possible. Because you're saying 62, it makes me inclined to want you to sock away more money in your brokerage account. Like, you're putting tons of money away for retirement, great. But between 62 and 70, and are you going to be entitled to Social Security because of this contracting work?
Yes, I still get the Social Security statement.
Great. I mean, what I would try to do is, you've got plenty of money in savings. So I would say, you know what? Why don't you try to put $2,000 a month into your brokerage account total? That's what I want you to do. That's what I would start doing. And I would do that diligently while you are earning all of this income. And if you do that, the brokerage account will get built up. The thrift savings plan, the civilian, your husband's 401k, all that is going to get built up naturally. You're going to pay down your mortgage. All this is going to happen. If you have money in the brokerage account, by the way, and you build that up and it's fat, by the time your kid goes to school, you could pay for part of that, you know? So I think you are totally on track. I would just kind of get a sense for what you're spending, not because I want you to be on a budget. I just want you to have an idea that, hey, when we're 62, what we really need to do is we'll have 60 grand a year from my pension. Maybe you'll have another, 30 grand, 40 grand from Social Security between the two of you. If you had 100 grand a year in taxable income, could you live on that in 10 years? I don't know. Probably not quite. You probably need a couple $1,000s extra from your other accounts. You'll have that. There will be no problem for you. So if you're willing to do 12 more years and you can build up that brokerage account, you're going to have a lot of options. I think you're going to be in great shape. So if your big question is, am I on track, Sophia, I'm giving you a gold star.
Okay.
You're amazing. Why don't you feel happier? What's wrong? Are you like, I feel like you're like down. I don't want you to be down. You're in really good shape.
Okay. I don't know. I guess, as you look at things that are going on around you in certain situations, you're like, oh my God, am I in the position that I need to be at this age?
Yes.
Because I don't want to be like 65
all your dope
trying to like live.
All your dopey friends who are like, I'm making so much more money than you, can be like laugh inside because you have a pension and it will pay for the rest of your life.
That $60,000 a year pension is basically $2 million that you saved.
Yeah. Now, as if you had saved it already. And it's probably a little more because I think that pension probably gets a cost of living adjustment also.
It does.
You're amazing. You're in great shape. Do you have all of your estate documents in place?
I do. Last year, we did make the commitment, and we got a trust in place so that we can ensure that our wishes are met. God forbid if something happened to me and my husband at the same time, for our daughter, of how to allocate our estate monies.
Great. You're in great shape, girl. I mean, really, congratulations. And we are happy that you called us, but I want you to enjoy it. And when you're feeling down and you feel like insecure, you can replay this episode, okay?
Okay.
Sound like a plan?
Sound like a plan.
If you, like Sophia, need another set of ears and eyes on your situation, just go to our website, jillonmoney.com, jillonmoney.com, and click the Contact Us button. Complete the form. Let us know if you want to come on the air live. Mark does everything else. Jill on Money. We'll be right back.
Do I invest here? Should I put my money there? Jill Schlesinger can help you. Back to Jill on Money.
You're back. It's Jill on Money, and we are here trying to help you make very good measured financial decisions. And measured is the important part of that, because when you hear us talk with someone who's on the line, oftentimes you might be comparing yourself to that person. And I would urge you not to do that, because each of our situations are so different. I mean, you might have someone call in and says, I am great. I can live on $3,000 a month, and they can do whatever they want because $3,000 a month is covered by their Social Security payments. You might hear where there's somebody who needs a lot more and has a lot of money saved, but can't even cover their needs. So it's really dependent on you. And that's why we love to bring you on the air with us. Just go to JillOnMoney.com, click the Contact Us button, and let us know if you want to come on the air, because it is such a rich experience when we can really hear what's going on in your financial life and help you figure out the question that might be burning right now. Okay, let's get the party started. It's Rose who's on the line from Southern California. Hi, Rose. How are you? What can we do for you?
Hi, I'm doing great. I am looking to retire very soon.
Yeah. What do you do?
And I work for the government.
I tell you what, government people must like us, Mark. I've never worked for the government. I'd love to work for the government and get that pension. Are you going to be entitled to a pension?
I am.
Tell me about it.
So it's going to be about 99 per year.
99 grand a year?
Yeah.
Wow.
Let's just call it 100,000.
Let's call it
Yeah.
100. Exactly right. And how old are you, Rose?
I am going to be 60 in a couple of months.
Okay. And this is going to be like right now? Do you get that extra money until your Social Security, or what? How does it work for you?
Lifetime, until they pull the plug.
So it's 100 grand a year, no matter what, forever. And how will that do in covering your needs? Will that be okay for you? Is that enough money?
Well, in terms of my basic living expenses, yes.
Great.
I've worked that out. The pandemic has actually taught me a lot in terms of what I really need. I thought I wouldn't be able to do it, but you learn that there are some things that are necessities and some things you just want to buy off the shelf.
It's so true. I mean, I noticed that as well. And I wrote about that in the book because, I think that for many of us, and when we would talk to a lot of people like you talk about your, this is what I spend money on, is sort of like, okay, this is like, oh, these are my expenses. But so much of that is discretionary, which is not to say you shouldn't do it. I'm just saying that when you're confronted with the idea of like, what do I really need? I agree with you. The pandemic threw that into stark reality in the moment, right? Like, okay, I need Bounty and I need Clorox and I need food. Next, what's next after that? Right?
Right. Exactly.
So this is like your basics, but you'd like to spend some extra money. You want to do a little travel. What do you want to do?
Yeah, that's really my passion, is traveling. And, I do a little gardening here. I'd like to do some volunteer work when I'm not, doing all that traveling, hopefully. But mostly it's a traveling that and I like to travel and, I did all the low budget stuff when I was younger. And now I feel like I'd like to do the more extravagant.
Yes.
And so, why not?
Okay. I like it. Are you single, partnered, married?
I am partnered. I share living expenses with my partner, and we rent.
Oh, how much is the rent?
My part is $2,500. So,
okay. And you're happy where you are renting?
Yeah. We don't have any plans to buy.
Okay. So what about your, do you guys have kids or no kids?
No kids. I have family who, if I do end up with extra money in the end, then they'll get it, and, some charities.
Tell us about the savings that we're going to dip into for your first class trip to wherever you want to go.
Well, it's $1,700,000.
Ooh. Hello, Rose.
But it's all traditional. I have about 105 in emergency fund, and my medical expenses are going to be fully paid.
Oh my God.
Through my
Rose,
lifetime.
come on. This is so great. So 1.7 in traditional retirement, 105,000 in emergency reserves. Your healthcare is taken care of. You're going to have $99,000 a year in your pension, which kind of pays for the general stuff. How much more do you think you would like to draw in order to have, sort of like these more, let's say like, a little bit more extra for fun money / travel? How much more do you think you need beyond the 99 grand a year?
I think probably maybe 40, 30 or 40.
That's some trip.
Well, it's a lot of trips, I mean, it's
Okay.
just so that I hate to, I've lived all my life, part of it budgeting a lot. And then the last part where I started making more money and not budgeting. And so I don't want to like nickel and dime myself. That's the one thing that I really don't want to be doing while I'm in retirement.
I was reading your email, Rose. So today, if you left today, your pension is about $100,000 a year. If you wait until November, does it jump to $112,000 a year? Am I reading that right?
That's correct.
Oh my God. Well, you got to work till November. That's just dumb. Do you hate it?
Well, I do. I mean, if it's if you say that, if I could hang on there until November, then
8 months.
It's nothing. Nothing. You can't even plan a trip in 8 months. That's nuts. I can't let you do that. I mean, I could. You're fine. If you really want to do it, I just want you to say, I'm not going to crush this.
Okay.
You can do this, but that would be a very dumb decision, which is not to say you can't make a dumb decision. You can actually afford to make a dumb decision, but that would be dumb. In my mind, that would be dumb. We'll get back to Rose's question in just a minute. It's the Jill on Money Show. We'll be right back.
.401ks, IRAs, refinancing, she covers it all. Back to Jill on Money with Jill Schlesinger.
You're back. It's Jill on Money, and we are here answering your financial questions. If you've got one, all you need to do is go to the website, JillOnMoney.com, and click the Contact Us button. We'll get your note. If you're shy, we will do email segments, I promise. But it's so much better when you come on the air with us. We just love when you do that. Right now, let's get back to Rose, who's on the line from Southern California.
So I should just hang in there and just grit my teeth for a while.
Yes. Don't grind them, but grit them.
Well, I already do that.
We're talking about months. We're not talking about years. When you're like really freaking out, just say like, I'm done in November. I'm like, the clock has started.
Just think that the hotel is going to be that much nicer.
Exactly. Mark wants you to stay in a really nice hotel. And by the way, and then instead of 30 to 40 a year, it's really 30 a year, right? Because the money hasn't been taxed yet. That's the other thing. Like you say, I have $1.7 million, but you live in a high tax state and you're going to continue to be in a high tax bracket because of the income, right? So you're filing single. It puts you in the 24% bracket, which means that like just off the top, 1.7 ain't 1.7, right? Essentially it's like 1.1, 1.2, right? And so if you say to me, I want to take 30 grand a year out of this account that's 1.1 million. Yeah, that's fine. That's totally fine. You could probably do 40 grand a year. If you have to do it 50 and it's like 1 year, that's like 60, it's really predicated on you being true to yourself and saying, look, I know I really do want to spend a little bit more. And so when you say me 30, 40 and you really mean 40, 50, then that's okay. But like, then you really would make it easier on yourself if you had the extra 12 or 13 grand a year in the guaranteed pension. Okay. I'd be happy with it. I really would. I would be like clicking my heels and saying like, instead of thinking like I'm gritting it out, it's like, look at this, 12, 13 grand a year forever. That's a lot of money. Just think, maybe we should break it down by the month.
Yeah, I don't want to regret, just pulling the plug and thinking, oh, I should have just stayed just that much longer, just a little bit longer.
I mean, stay healthy. Is your health okay? Are you feeling good?
Yeah. It's always been pretty good. So that's what I've been going back and forth about.
Yeah.
Is basically, is it worth waiting or should I just do it?
I mean, if you told me 8 more years, I'd be a little bit less encouraging, but for months, yeah, I'm good. I'm good with that. And you've got plenty of money, which is wonderful. It's wonderful. You should be happy about this. This is great. Really. I mean, it is so important that people do take advantage of these times and really do say hey, you know what? I want to be able to enjoy my life, and you deserve it. You've worked hard. You've got it. It's just that for 8 more months and 12 grand or 13 grand, it's hard for me to turn that down.
Okay, so I'm just going to take some little trips on the weekends and maybe some other, just to get me through.
Yeah. Is there any vacation between now and then?
Yeah, I think that'll get me through. That always gets me through is just the next vacation.
Great. That's good. If you can do that, then we're psyched. So you're not married. Do you have documents, estate documents? In other words, if you were to drop dead, God forbid, your pension goes away, right?
Right.
What about for the partner? Should we just get married in case? So you want your partner to get it?
We've thought about that, and he's not really that interested, and I'm not really that interested. I've been married before.
Wait a minute, Mark. I'm going to marry her because I want that pension. I want it. Really?
That's what everybody says.
I mean,
don't give it away.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the reason I ask that is that, obviously when you have a pension, if there is no spouse, oftentimes that pension would go away if someone died. But if your partner now is fine and, he's in good financial shape or whatever, then fine. You don't have to do it. But for those of you just shacking up with your honey and not married, and there's a pension involved. I had friends who very romantically were we better get married for the pension. And I think that is a smart move. And you never know. So I think it is, you change your mind in the next 8 months, obviously, that's when to do it. You can't do it after the fact. So just keep that in mind just in case.
Oh, I will. I have friends who have been trying to talk both of us into it. So
it's hysterical, I have to say. Very romantic of me, truly.
Yeah, well, that's part of it too, right?
Yeah.
But you got to be practical in life.
Exactly. All right, I think that's it. I think you're in great shape. So Rose, 8 months to go. And go get your money. And congratulations on your soon-to-be retirement, okay?
Thank you so much. I do really appreciate both of you. Once I discovered your podcast, I listened to it not only every day, I listened to the other one, and I listened to them over and over again.
Wait a minute.
And your books.
Oh my God. And you have to get all the people you work with to listen after you're retired. We need some outside salespeople to expand our listening audience. Okay.
Oh, I've sent them links, and my brother and everybody.
Oh, that's so nice. So Thank you.
You've taught me a lot.
Well, we appreciate that, and we thank you, and we wish you the best of luck. And let us know what the first big vacation is going to be. Okay.
Definitely.
If you have a question about your retirement, about college funding, you're weighing 2 different job offers, you're considering moving up in your housing situation, you're considering downsizing, we'd love to hear from you. JillOnMoney.com is the website, and we will be right back. You're back. It's Jill on Money. And before we finish up the hour, let's take an email. This one is from Paul, who says, My wife and I are sitting on a substantial amount of cash, and we're having trouble deciding where to put it. We're almost 70 years old, and we would like your opinion on what we might do with it, let's say for the next 5 to 10 years, and with little to no risk. This was an interesting question until we got to the very end, because I was thinking, wow, I wonder how much cash I have. I wonder how we're going to deploy it. I wonder what kind of asset allocation we should have. And you know what I realized? They don't really want to actually invest their money. They said they want little to no risk. If you want little to no risk, we are talking about cash management. We are not talking about investing. And I think that's a huge distinction, because investing means that you're going to pick different asset classes, stocks, bonds, commodities, real estate, and some cash as well. And you're going to put it to work. You're going to hold it for at least, 10 years-ish, maybe 20, maybe 30, and you're going to let it be, stick to your game plan. But if you want little to no risk, your options are actually limited. And so I would encourage you to go to either Bankrate or depositaccounts.com, one of these aggregation services. Look at what's available in terms of the high yield savings accounts, the CDs. Maybe you would like to buy some I-bonds if you don't need the money anytime soon. These are the types of cash management instruments that would be very consistent with someone who says, I want little to no risk. Because if you want little to no risk, you really can't buy stocks. You can't even buy bonds. Maybe you could buy some treasuries, but that's about it. So be careful, if that's what you're asking me, that you don't bite off more than you can chew. If you are seeking a diversified portfolio allocation, I'm sorry, that does come with some risk. Okay, it's Jill on Money. We've got a whole nother hour. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
It's the weekend, and that can only mean one thing. You're listening to Jill on Money, the show that takes the mystery out of your finances. Here's your host, Jill Schlesinger.
Welcome back. It's hour number 2 of the Jill on Money show, and we are so delighted that you have joined us. What we do every single weekend is we answer your financial questions. It can be from the mundane to the really super complicated. Right now, let's take an email. This is from Anonymous, who says, Hi, Jill and Mark. I've learned so much from your shows. Thank you so much. Okay, here we go. My husband was sold an annuity. Attached is the year-end statement, which is fantastic, from our financial advisor at the time. I suspect he was more of a salesman than an advisor, and this was in 2010. It was a rollover from a 401k. Okay, we are wondering what to do with it. I like the idea of having some guaranteed income, which would supplement our projected Social Security of about $5,600 a month. With our mortgage paid off by then, we could very well live on $7,000 a month. I'm 60. My husband is 61. We're active. We're in great health. Right now, gross household income, $200,000. He's the main breadwinner by far at this point. Mortgage balance is $165,000 on a 10-year fixed 2.5% mortgage, 2.5%. The house value is around $3 million. It's our largest asset by far, and we plan to stay. We love it here. They've got no debt except the mortgage. They've got a home equity line of credit that is available. They've never used it. 2 kids who are grown. In addition to the annuity, they've got $900,000 in traditional retirement accounts. We fired the advisor. We manage those accounts now. Husband is funding 401k up to the match 9% total. We max out his health savings account, and we can now fully fund our IRAs. I'm funding a Roth, and that will give us about $24,000 in Roth money. 85 grand in emergency savings, 10 grand in I-bonds, few $1,000s in brokerage accounts. We're working on building it up. So, Mark, I have the attachment here. It is a variable annuity. And remember what she said. She said that this money was qualified money, meaning it came from a retirement account. And at the end of last year, it was worth $167,000. Okay. The only thing it does not actually show me, I mean, since you bought it in 2010, I think you probably are done. This is probably completely, perfectly sound and no surrender charges. So just to be clear, they have 900,000. She wants to know, should they annuitize it, right? So that could be a way to make this okay. That's great. But just remember, if you were to annuitize this, you will have to pay tax on it. None of this money has been taxed yet. And I would urge you to consider just what your tax liability is going to be, right? So I don't know. I'm not sure you said exactly when you think you're going to retire, but if you're both 60 and 61, if you are thinking, well, we're making 200 grand now. If you annuitize this now, then all that money is taxable. If you annuitize it maybe when you both stop working and you're 67, that could certainly work. You could try to get the money out before you have to start, you're forced to take your required minimum distributions. So then the question really becomes, how do we use this annuity? It's not the worst thing in the world now that the fees are gone, but how do we use it in a tax perspective? Because you do have a lot of money in traditional accounts, right? So you have this 100 and something thousand, it's probably 200,000 by now, plus 900,000 in retirement accounts. It may be really good for you to actually annuitize this, to start getting the money out, because when you're 75, you're going to start getting some big money out of these accounts. You're going to be forced to take that money out. And in fact, I think you guys are really in good shape. I really do, because you keep saying, oh, we don't have as much as everyone else, but you don't spend as much. You're doing pretty well. So I think even if you have the house and you want to stay in the house, the $3 million house, you know what? It's fine. You don't have to sell it. It may be worth keeping for a while. I'll tell you what I wouldn't do. I wouldn't necessarily put more pre-tax money away. Can your husband switch to a Roth 401k? That's number one. Number two, what I would do is I would look at the annuity and say, hey, how can I get this money out? How do I annuitize it? Should I do it over 10 years? Should I do it so it is joint with my wife, right? And you want to see the different options. Once you annuitize it, the money will come out and you can start to manage that tax liability. I just wouldn't do it while you're working. I don't think you have a problem. You didn't blow it with the annuity, Anonymous. But what I do think is we have to absolutely manage this so that you are more in control of how the money comes out. Okay? I hope that helps. Follow up with us. Okay. This is a message from Michael. Hi, Jill and Mark. The company I worked for recently split into two separate firms. I now work for the new company, and I've got a cash balance pension from the old company. It's worth $78,000, and it currently earns 2.25% annually. It feels like I can put this money to work by rolling it over into my 401k. What are your thoughts? Well, usually the cash balance pension came from an old pension plan that was really good, and then they kind of stopped it. So the two things that I'd want to know is, number one, will your company allow this? You should be able to do it. I think no problem. That would be fine to do it. But the other is that 2.25% guaranteed until retirement? Is there any other calculation that's applied later? Is it an accumulation phase versus something else? Usually it's just that 2.25%. So that would be fine to do that. It sounds like that cash balance plan could be rolled over, and happily you should do that. Jeff writes, we talked after my wife passed away in June of 2021. I've just filed my 2022 taxes, and I felt the impact of filing single for the first time in 40 years. My adjusted gross income was $150,000 due to Social Security survivor benefits, a pension, my wife's pension with a survivor clause, and investment returns. So this puts me in the middle tier for Irma. Oh boy. This is the calculation for Social Security, gang. And if you listen to our recent episode with Mark Miller, we talked about Irma and how a lot more people are being subject to Irma, not just because of retirement income, but also because more and more people are working later into their lives. So the Irma calculation is kind of screwing with our boy Jeff. And he said, would donor advised funds be a possible way to bring down the taxable income? Can the assets come from post-tax brokerage account, traditional IRA, or either? Any other thoughts? Okay. If you were to do a donor advised fund, it could potentially come from any of the assets that you'd like in a brokerage account. It would not come from a traditional IRA. I think you're not yet 70, but when you're 70 and a half, that's when you could potentially use the traditional IRA to gift to charity. So that would be an idea also, because then that will bypass you. So I think that's it. The donor advised fund can help you. You can basically use your investments. You can fund it, but not from the IRA, only from your post-tax brokerage account. Okay. If you would like to send us a note, all you need to do is go to jillonmoney.com and click the Contact Us button. We'll be right back.
Back to Jill on Money, where Jill Schlesinger helps you take the mystery out of your finances.
You're back. It's Jill on Money. And what we are trying to do on this show is help you make better financial decisions. Not necessarily the best. The best depends on who you are and what's going on in your life. And that's one of the things that makes this show, I think, a bit unique, which is we really want to meet you where you are. I don't want there to be this blanket advice. You always should pay down your mortgage. You should always use a Roth. You should never use a Roth. It's not like that. It's about tell us who you are, tell us what's going on, what you want to do, and then we will try to use that information and help you see what options are in front of you. And you can make the choice that's best for you. Again, it is about you. It's not about some hard and fast rules. So right now, let's talk to Carol, who's on the line from the Mid-Atlantic. Hello, Carol. How are you? What's going on?
Hi, Jill. Hi, Mark. Thank you for taking my call. I just want to say I'm a big fan. I listen to you every morning when I'm walking my dog.
Oh, what kind of dog?
She is a lab pit bull mix.
Oh,
she's
Mark
very
loves
sweet.
A pit bull. Mark is a pit bull guy, but he will not get his child a dog. He refuses. Isn't that mean?
Who's going to be taking care of the dog? It'll be all me. No thanks.
All right. Well, Carol, as you walk your lab pit bull and you hear us, something got in your head. Why did you want to come on the air with us and talk today?
Okay. So I'm hoping for the Jill and Mark seal of approval for my retirement plans.
Okay.
Because here's the situation. 5 years ago, my wife was diagnosed with a reoccurrence of stage 4 breast cancer. It wasn't discovered until it was in stage 4, which means it is spread, it's incurable. She was originally given 2.5 years to live. So obviously now it's 5. We're thrilled that she has outlived her prognosis. But it's been a really tough journey, Jill. You know, there's been like radiation, chemo, surgeries. There's been small complications, large complications, life-threatening complications, many hospitalizations. How I have managed to work doing all this is just a miracle, but I am 8 years younger than she is. So when she was diagnosed, I could not leave work.
Mm-hmm. Also, by the way, can I just say one thing? First of all, I am so sorry. This sucks, the big one. And it is a terrible thing to have this like put into your universe, especially, I always get the worried, like when people say, I'm very Jewish about this, when people are like, I beat cancer. I'm like, don't say that. Don't like tempt fate. Like you don't know. And it just shows you like things happen. You never know what will lie around the corner. You have to live your life for today. But as you said, she's outlived this terrible prognosis, which is wonderful, but it's been a really rotten journey. And it's the journey that, nobody's asked to go on this journey, right? And you are in it together. And so, first of all, number one, I am so sorry for both of you. And by the way, I have a special place in my heart for the caretaker also, because I think a lot of people forget just how hard it is for the caretaker. Now, let's figure out what you can do next, because you said you're 8 years younger. How old does that make you today?
So my birthday will be in 3 months and I will be 62.
Okay. All right. Sounds like you have like a pretty intense job. We were talking a little bit about that off air. You don't have to give the details, but you've got an intense job. I presume that your question is about, can you call it quits? Is that about right?
I have for the last 5 years worked 55 hours a week, trying to make sure that everybody that depends on me at work is taken care of. And then when I get off work, and fortunately with the pandemic, I've been able to work from home, so throughout the day and when I get off work, my second shift begins taking care of my wife. I am exhausted. I am profoundly burned out from all of this. And I really do want to retire at the end of 2023. I would be 62 and a half. And because I work for the government, I will have a pension and I will have health insurance, which is wonderful. The concern is that when she got sick, and, we were in no state to think about this. I wasn't even thinking about retirement. And honestly, Jill, I thought I would work till I was age 65 at least. But anyway, we made 2 irrevocable decisions that are not in my best interest. So one of them was her pension does not have a survivor's benefit. So when she does pass, I won't have her pension. And then the second thing is she had this really horrible life insurance product called Fegley. I don't have Fegley. I have something else, term insurance for her. But anyway, I did not realize that when she retired, the payoff balance would just diminish and diminish until there is nothing left. So fortunately, an angel at work told me that you could recover it through like this terminal illness clause. So we recovered 70,000. We did. So we recovered 70,000 of the life insurance. That's all that is left from her. And it is sitting in a high yield savings account.
So right now she receives a pension, right?
She does.
And how much is that pension?
So she receives 2 pensions, actually, and the combined amount of those pensions is 70,000. She also gets Social Security.
Both of those pensions, neither of those pensions have a survivor benefit?
Correct.
Okay, got it. And what will your pension be, presuming you're done at the end of this year?
So looking at the estimate and accounting for taxes and deductions, I think I would net 60,000 a year or about 5,000 a month.
How much do you think you need to live on?
Well, Jill, this is the problem. With some of the medical expenses and stuff, looking at 2022 with a microscope, we spent about 13,000 a month.
Okay.
So we will have an income gap of about 37,000 a year. Well, we can round it up to 40 or 3,000 a month.
Right now, for this second, you have the income to kind of float this at the moment because you're working. And what's your salary right now?
My salary right now is 183,000.
Okay. So that's why it's working. You're not dipping into savings to fund this. Okay. So you're going to have to dip into savings. This is what's called an emergency, like that's the deal. And don't look back about the election of this, that, whatever. You made the choice. You made the best choice you could in the moment. Okay. We'll talk about this after the fact, with everyone else when you're thinking about pension elections. remember that there's, you don't make your pension election based on the best case scenario. You make it based on the worst case scenario. That's just, now you can live in my life. Now you know what is a day to walk in my shoes. Look at the worst case first, move back from there. So let's talk about what you guys have done for savings so we can figure out how to help you get through this.
So currently, I have my goal, by the way, was to leave federal service with $1 million in my 401k. But thanks to the bad market, I'm not going to make that. But I do have $859,000 in my 401k, and 30,000 of that is Roth. The rest is pre-tax. And then I have a small Roth IRA that's worth $25,000, and I currently have $149,000 in savings. $40,000 of that is in I-bonds, and the rest is in a high yield savings account.
Okay. So that's your 401k, your Roth, your savings. And then what about her savings?
So my wife has an IRA value of $924,000. It's all pre-tax. And then we have a small brokerage account that's worth about $134,000. We are going to use that when the time comes to we're going to exhaust that account for end of life care expenses.
We'll get back to Carol in just a moment. If you've got a situation where someone is sick or you're doing some really hard planning stuff, let us help you out. Go to JillOnMoney.com, click the Contact Us button. We'll be right back.
Do I invest here? Should I put my money there? Jill Schlesinger can help you. Back to Jill on Money.
You're back. It's Jill on Money, and we are here trying to help you make sound financial decisions based on wherever you are. And it's so interesting because I learned so much about this process through you. And in fact, I wrote a whole book that's based on my conversations with you. It's called The Great Money Reset. And in that book, you will find 10 bold steps to turn chaos into opportunity. And I know that many of our lives are chaotic, whether it is a birth, an illness, a death, a divorce, a pandemic. All of these things can shake our foundations and can make us want to do something different. And that's what the book is all about. You can find The Great Money Reset wherever you buy books, or just go to our website, JillOnMoney.com, and we have links to lots of different book sellers. Okay, so right now we are going back to talk to Carol, who's on the line from the Mid-Atlantic. She has a pretty complicated situation. Just so I get this, am I being an idiot? Like, you have a lot of money. Okay, you do have a lot of money. So
thank you.
I don't want to make that sound like obvious, but it seems, I thought you were going to say many fewer dollars amassed. So let's walk through this. You're 62, your wife is 70. She has this diagnosis. It's horrible. You will, let's call it 2024. Let's look at your income in 2024. In 2024, you're going to have $5,000 a month from your pension, right? We're going to have in her two pensions, which is her, so that's, let's just say 60, and then there's 70 from her two pensions and her Social Security. Is that both of those things?
Yeah, that okay. 70 includes.
Okay, so that's your 130, and you think you need another, let's call it 30 or 40 grand. Obviously, given her diagnosis, you're not going to be funding a gap of $30,000 or $40,000 a year for the next 30 years of your life. Okay.
No.
So what this means is that this is a finite problem. Okay. And that's why you have money. I am more interested in you guys kind of getting, at this point, just getting the money you need and not fretting about money, because that's like, who cares about the money at this point? When you said you want to exhaust the brokerage account for end of life, like, when does the clock start ticking on that? Does that mean at the end of this year, next year, you're going to do this? Or do you want to be pulling money out of, say, her retirement account and start pulling some money out pre-tax out of her, that $924,000, and start reducing that?
So the reason why I thought about the brokerage accounts is because right now we're in such a high tax bracket.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, it will be a somewhat lower when I retire because our income, right, will drop.
Yeah, but like honestly, like you're going to go from like a top bracket of 24%, and you're going to go to 22%. So don't sweat it too much, really. Like next year, I would pull money out of her retirement account. I would pull out, like in the beginning of the year, maybe I would pull out like 40 grand or 50 grand and just get the money out, pay the tax or have them withhold tax, and add that to your brokerage account. And now, like, I'd like your brokerage account to have like 200 grand at the beginning of next year. But don't pull the money out now. You're right, because you are making a lot of money now. Do it next year, right? You can do this. So financially, if she lived it would be astounding and fantastic if she lived 5 more years. It would be but you would be able to do this for 5 years. There's no problem on the financial front at all.
Even beyond when I'm widowed and
let's look at that. Let's look at that.
Concern.
So let's say she like lives 5 more years. Okay. And now we've taken 150. Let's say that we have 750 is left in her retirement account. We haven't touched yours, right? So in 5 years, there's 750 left in her account. Maybe there's probably $1 million in your 401k. Let's just call it $1 million. Let's call it 900. Okay. So now you've got $1.65 million. Okay. It's in 5 years. In 5 years, you will have your pension. You'll have your own Social Security. What's your Social Security benefit look like at age 70?
At age 70, it's $4,000 which would be my goal to wait that long if I could. At age 67, it's $3,603.
Okay, so we're talking about the fact that again, same concept. If she were to pass away in 5 years, you have your 900, her 750. You could use that for a few more years before you turn 70, and you'll deplete it. Then at age 70, you've got your pension, your net of $5,000 a month, $4,000 a month from Social Security, taxable, I understand. But like you've got, let's call it $8,000 a month, $7,500 a month in income, and you still have $1.5 million. I find it hard to believe from age 70 to 95 that you're going to blow through all your money.
No, I don't think I will. I have a hard time believing that too. Now, half of her IRA upon her death will go to her family.
Because this is your second relationship. And does she have kids?
No, I have kids. But her family is like her kids. And Jill, they grew up very poor, and she wants them to be taken care of.
Okay, so if that's the case, a couple of things. One is, I don't love that arrangement in general, just to be honest with you, because I feel like if your care escalates in a huge way, okay, in the last couple of years, and you really, instead of spending $13,000 a month, you're spending $20,000 a month, then there's going to be less money left. I'd like it if your wife is listening to this. I think that the better outcome here is to not necessarily leave the money outright to the family, but to give you the opportunity to make some outright gifts after she passes to those family members, and that you have the money, because we don't know how much money is going to be left. If for some reason the money isn't there for you, and that you do live 25 more years and you are taking care of her, you can make gifts, but like, I presume that you are her most important person, and that she wants to make sure you're taken care of. And whatever is left is going to be a token to those people. It's not going to be life-changing money to them. And you can do that, but you should do it after the fact and with some guardrails. Do you think she could hear that or not?
I am going to have her listen to this.
If you need financial assistance, a way to think through a problem, or you want us to explain something that you just don't get, just go to the website, jillonmoney.com. Click the Contact Us button. We will get your note. If you want to come on the air, just check that box. We'll be right back.
401ks, IRAs, refinancing, she covers it all. Back to Jill on Money with Jill Schlesinger.
You're back. It's Jill on Money, the show that takes the mystery out of your financial life. Let's get back to our conversation with Carol. Given what you've just said to me, then that is the argument that, in fact, you should be exhausting her retirement account for these needs for the care, not the brokerage account. Leave that brokerage account alone, because that is your joint asset. That's yours together. You know, all this money is happening, I presume, mostly because in the last 5 years, you've been socking it away. You've both saved your whole lives. I get it. But then I would use her retirement account to fund as much of this as possible. And if at the end of the day, there's $500,000 left in her account, not $750, and $250 goes to her family and $250 goes to you, then fine. Then we'll make it work anyway. We will make this work. I can tell you anyway, it's going to work. It will work for you. But I'd rather that money go to you, and then you would make some outright gifts after the fact. That's just my 2 cents. Okay?
It would make me feel more comfortable.
Yeah, if you're the primary
nervous.
if you're the primary caretaker, you're the spouse, you're the primary caretaker, you're the main wage earner. 5 years ago, today, you're the one who's been taking the brunt of caring for her. You're the one who's been working your ass off. And I want to make sure you're taken care of. So I'm your fiduciary right now. I want to hold you in my arms and scoop you up and protect you. And not to say that her family's not a great family and this, that, and the other. All the families are great. It's great. But the spouse is bearing the burden. And I want to make sure that the spouse is taken care of.
Amen.
Right? So there it is. That's my little soapbox right there.
I love it.
But I will say that even if she's like, I can't do that, it's my family. Okay, fine. Then even so, then I want the money that you use for the care will come from her retirement account, her pre-tax account. You'll pay the tax on it. Who cares? Not this year, but next year. Take the money out, pay for the care out of that account, whittle that account down. If that account went to zero, which is highly unlikely, but let's just say it went to zero, okay? And you had $1 million in your 401k and a couple $100,000 between your Roth and your savings and this, that, and the other thing. If you had that, and then you had your pension and your Social Security, I think you're going to be fine. I still think you're going to be fine financially. I just think you're going to be finer if you have the access to the full retirement account proceeds upon her death. That's what I think.
I agree.
And what about your house? Where do you own it home together? What's the story?
So we do. So, she might argue back with you that that's another asset. The house is currently worth about $715,000.
Yeah.
We still have a mortgage on it. The mortgage will be paid off in 2027, and that will give us an additional $26K in our budget. But this house is big, Jill, and really we do need to downsize. Although I've started looking just casually in our area, and surprisingly and shockingly, houses, say in a 55 and older community, are probably just as expensive, and we can't have another mortgage. So it's it's going to be
right now. But wait a second, can she be in this house right now? In other words, is it if you had to bring care into the home? If we had hospice care and you needed it for 3 months, what would happen? Where would everyone go?
Well, she can be in the house, but we do have steps, and that's an issue. So if there's ever a point in time when she can't get up the steps, we either have to move her downstairs or we have to move.
You're not moving. Let's keep it. Let's just stay where you are. And so be it. And then you make different decisions. You don't have to make that decision right now. There should be no money anxiety at this point. Zero. It's going to be okay. You're going to be okay financially. You really will. You will come at the end of this. You will be broken, but you will be financially together.
I am so relieved to hear you say that.
That's just the way it is. I didn't even say it because I like you, and I do like you. And you're covered with your own health care, which would be a big issue, by the way. So, that's something that is important. One last question for you, and that is, I presume all of your estate documents are in place.
They are.
They are. Okay. And then you are the executor and the trustee and all that stuff, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. Is there anyone else that's involved in this who will be involved with this with you? From the family or from an attorney, an accountant? Do you know where, are you the person who's running all that stuff now anyway?
I am the one and only.
Okay. Just make sure you have good people around you. Make sure you have an estate attorney who you like. Make sure you have a good accountant. And, when the horrible worst case happens, that you have your people around you that can help lift you up, but also that can kind of help relieve you from the burdens of the administration, because it's a pain in the ass.
I've never been an executor before. I'm not looking forward to that.
You'll call me back. We'll walk through it together. I promise.
Thank you.
So right now, your job is to give your notice, retire, make all the elections you need to make, take a deep breath. Don't fret about moving. Don't fret about anything else. When you need money next year, you're going to pull it from her retirement account. Maybe pull out in the beginning of the year, just pull out 50 grand, pay the tax on it. So be it. It doesn't matter. And put that money in your cash account. Even for this year, I wouldn't get so hyper about your retirement contributions. You can do it. It's fine. But don't make yourself nutty about that either. You're going to make sure you're in touch with your estate attorney. You're going to make sure you have an accountant who's good and can do an estate tax return. All those things are going to happen. And you're going to stay in touch with us. And we're going to hold your hand through whatever needs to happen next. Okay?
I would love that.
We've got one more segment, so don't go away. It's Jill on Money. We'll be right back. You're back. It's Jill on Money. And before we finish up the program, let's take an email. This is from Randall, and he writes, "It seems that banks should be aware of rising interest rates from the Federal Reserve. After all, how long can the rates on a 10-year note remain at zero? Why did foreign banks such as Credit Suisse have such giant problems when much of their money comes from the state? Should there be a limit on uninsured capital? Are credit risk officials doing their jobs correctly? What should a poor retail investor do in order to reform the banking system?" Whew, Randall, that's a lot of questions. I agree that it seems kind of crazy that banking officials or management, as well as their supervisors, didn't see that there would be risk, not so much from 0% interest rates, but from the rapid increase that the Fed actually enacted over the last 12 months, or let's call it now 13 months. It is also true that they were buying U.S. Treasuries, and I think there's this weird combination of events at places like Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank, which were elevated and maybe they converged where they had long-dated bonds on their balance sheet, but they also had kind of twitchy depositors, meaning that they had liabilities. When you make a deposit at a bank, that's considered a liability, but that all these people were uninsured, and they were the types of people who would leave a bank if they perceived problems. The uninsured deposit level combined with the long-dated bonds on the balance sheet caused the problems. It was a little different over at Credit Suisse. This is a big investment bank. It's not the Swiss National Bank. It's an investment bank. And they came out of the financial crisis in pretty good shape, but they didn't really adapt their business. They kind of stuck to the old model. There were huge management issues there. And so I would put that in almost a separate category. I think the risk management at all of these banks and the regulatory oversight is going to come under scrutiny. We'll have to see where that lands. Okay, that is it. That is the show. Thanks so much for listening. Our music is composed by Joel Goodman. Karen Kranick is our web queen. Mark Talercio is our executive producer. Try to lift someone up. Change your work, change your wealth, change your life. Thank you for listening. We'll talk to you next week.